What's up, and welcome back to the Kill Shot UFC DraftKings breakdown. We're talking UFC Vegas 78, Luque versus Dos Anjos. And here to break it down, as always, the Dream Team. Of course, myself, Geek, as you guys know. I got Sniper here. I got Monk Maddox here with me. We're going to go through all of the fights on this card from a fantasy and a little betting analysis as well. As usual, we're going to give you a kill shot at the end, so you got to make sure you stick around to the. I had another kill shot crush last week. Monk, how am I doing in the kill shot contest?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you're probably in first.
Is it prohibitively? Can anybody catch me at this point? Is it too late?
I don't think it's prohibitive. I think it's close though.
Oh, okay.
Not with me.
We got Burden last week.
I picked Gavin Tucker, so I'm nowhere near anything. Oh, yeah.
I like Tucker too last week, but you know what? I did foresee that scenario of Lopez, Tucker being a willing
high risk.
I tried to talk you out of it, Monk. I tried desperately to talk you out of it in the podcast.
I couldn't do it, man.
There is absolutely fights on this card.
The haircut, the tattoo, I just could not do it.
Wait, which one was that?
Diego Lopez.
Yeah, the haircut. But you know what? The guy's got some slick submissions. So we're going to break this card down. We'll give you our kill shots at the end. A kill shot is generally going to be an underdog winner. And I've got a kill shot picked out for this one that you guys are going to love. So, Sniper, I saw you switch it up. You're starting at the top, work your way down last week.
That's what we're doing.
All right. So I'll start at the top. We'll start with the main event, 5 rounds of UFC action. Rafael Dos Anjos, the legend, taking on Vicente Luque. This is a close fight. Lined minus 105, minus 115. It's funny. Luque, I have him as minus 105, plus 105. Luque just effectively a pick'em fight here. This should be close. The fight ends inside the distance, is minus 165. So, this one stands out right off the bat as a fight that could go 3, 4, 5 rounds. Long fight. Cash stack, absolutely in play here. But, you've got Luque, who is very much a dangerous stand-up striker. Not the best takedown defense, but gets up when he gets taken down. I think RDA's best path here to a win would be a grapple-heavy game plan, or maybe a kick-heavy game plan, as I've seen Luque kind of get hurt by, especially as a southpaw. I think RDA has a shot at, really getting that liver of Luque worked with those kicks. But, Sniper, how do you see this fight going down? This one stands out to me as a fight we need to be loading up on. 5 rounds, a lot of potential fantasy scoring happening here.
It's a good one, but it's not an all-in fight. The thing that's going for us is you got 5 rounds, and you have a mid-range salaries. There's actually a bunch of fights with much better inside the distance potential on this card. I don't think this was even in the top half when I did my VIP article today. It got bumped up my rankings just because of the 2 things I mentioned, but it's not an all-in fight. I think there's a couple better ones in the card. I also have a pretty strong lean in this fight, though it is a pick'em. Rafael Dos Anjos does not look regressed in terms of age to me. He looks plenty fine. He high volume striker, and he can wrestle. You said Luque can get taken down. Luque has also taken a metric fuck ton of damage his last few fights. He's getting knocked out in scary ass ways. Like the way he fights, damage kind of it wears on you. RDA's not getting, CTE kind of like he's not looking like he's getting hurt in fights yet. The fall off could come at any time, but we haven't seen it yet. I've still seen an RDA who can keep up the pressure. He can wrestle. I think, Luque is the kind of guy who I think he needs to find a finish to win. He's either going to have to land one of his big strikes, possible, or he's going to have to. He's got really good Darce chokes, anaconda chokes. He can catch RDA in one of those subs coming in. But when I break down fights, I think I've said this tons of times over the years. If you're relying on that type of finish, it seems at the highest levels of MMA, that seems like a low probability outcome to me. So while the fight is pick'em, I would handicap the fight. I get what the line is where it is, but I'd put RDA closer to a minus 200 favorite. I really like RDA in the spot. I do have a bet on him straight out. I'm going to have more of him on DraftKings. I'll probably stack it up because the dogs I like are kind of high volatility. And in case I'm wrong, I'll kind of hedge some of my sportsbook action with a stack in cash, which is going to be common anyway. But I like RDA in this fight.
Interesting. Now, Monk, I'm really curious to your take on the numbers here, because when you look at RDA's historical stats, right, nothing he does should score that well, right? Historically, he's landing 3.5 strikes per minute and just just over 2 takedowns per 15. Normally, those are numbers that I look at and I go, meh, not that great. But when you look at the recent fight history, especially 5-rounders with RDA, Renato Moicano, he puts up 155. Felder, 135 on DraftKings. These are DraftKings scoring. Against Kevin Lee, 4th-round submission, got 100 there. Robbie Lawler, 132. I mean, he's putting up, numbers well over 100 frequently. So, he's got so many fights and such a long history that maybe some of those scoring metrics are skewed. But do you love RDA when he's as a DraftKings play? Do you take the recent history, you go back a little further when he was scoring 70 and 80 in wins back in, in 2010, or how do we judge this one?
And this is why me and all my fellow stat boys we're always in this catch-22. It's like, well, you don't have a big enough sample size, so we got to throw the stats out. And then sometimes it's like, well, you can't go back that far in their career. You got to throw that shit out. It's like, so what stats am I allowed to use? But that's just a separate argument. It has nothing to do with you.
I didn't know there was a whole stat boy crew out there,
dude. We run deep. We roll deep. That's why you don't want to come
Discord?
Up on us.
Is there like a hangout?
We know exactly how deep because we're stat boys, so we know how many people are in the group.
Meet up at a Dunkin' Donuts somewhere and like.
Next time I have a hard time sleeping, you want to like screenshot me some of those conversations and send them over?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll put you right out.
I didn't know that was a thing. All right.
But yeah, I do like Dos Santos. I like Luque as well. You mentioned a bunch of good stats for Dos Santos, and I'll just give Luque a little shine. Over his career, averaging almost 107 per win. He also gives up almost 102 points per loss over 5 UFC losses. So I love the consistency overall throughout these guys' career. And Dos Santos, you said it perfectly, Sniper. He has not regressed, not an ounce, not 1 ounce, it seems like, in any of these fights. I know the Money Moicano fight was on super short notice, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do there. I'm on Dos Anjos this week, man. Luque's been going through some scary stuff, and he's been off for a year. I know he's way younger, 31, but the things that he's been going through might have aged him up a little. These guys might be closer in fight age than they are in actual age. So
should I be aware of something that Luque's going through that I don't know? What's he going
through? After his last fight, Jeff
brain hemorrhage.
The brain bleed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's scary. Why is he fighting?
I mean, Parsons got pulled from his fight before, not his recent fight, but in the past, we just had a guy get pulled. What was it, Jack Della Maddalena's opponent before? What's his name? I think somewhere around there, some guy got pulled for a brain bleed. So really scary stuff. So I just, I like Luque. I want him to be okay. But man, if he starts taking damage, like you said, or if Dos Anjos, we like guys for DraftKings that can rinse and repeat takedowns. So I hope Luque can get up and Dos Anjos can keep putting him down time after time. Last thing I'll say is Dos Anjos, both of these guys have very high average ownership since 2021, 43% Dos Anjos and 41% Luque. So you're going to have to either stack or pick a side and just go way over the field because these guys are going to be very highly owned this week, and rightly so at 8,200 and 8,000. But I like Dos Anjos for sure.
It's funny, the only guy going through something scarier that I could think of top of head, other than, like in terms of returning, is on this card. We got to talk about Chris Daukaus later. Fuck, he's fighting again is beyond me.
Yeah. It's scary stuff, man. When you start getting the brain in, you're like, it's still we're still in the very early stage of this with football, and it's still kind of an unspoken thing, but this is gonna be not good eventually if guys stay at it too long.
You can't have those brain bleeds. That is not got to get what's his name that horrible referee out of MMA too. I can't remember.
Yeah, they don't always help either.
Yeah, Mario Yamasaki.
I didn't know what you were doing. Yeah.
What the hell's his name?
Mario Yamasaki.
Yeah. Oh, get him out of there too. That guy is getting people killed.
I want Steve Mazzagatti back just so Dana White has a stroke.
Oh, that was another one. Yeah, Steve Mazzagatti is a problem. I'm on RDA as well for exactly the reasons you talk about. Number one, I think Luque's shot to win this fight is going to be a finish. I think RDA will win the minutes in between. He's got the grappling. Luque, not the best takedown defense. And RDA, again, the historical 2/15 does not do justice to his recent wins where he's 4 takedowns, 5 takedowns, 6 takedowns. He has been very grapple heavy in his recent wins. So for me, that is that's a good sign that I expect him to do. Why would you stand with Luque? Makes no sense. Can he control Luque for long periods of time on the ground? I don't think so. Luque is really good at getting back up. He got back up against Bilal, but those takedowns will just add up. And the fact he gets back up is really good for DraftKings scoring purposes as well. So, yeah, give me RDA, but both of these guys are live, and Luque's most definitely live for a finish along the way. But, yeah, I'm picking RDA here, especially brain bleed not that long ago. I don't even get it. Why is he fighting? Probably shouldn't. Maybe he won't. Maybe this doesn't happen. I don't know. All right, guys. Next up, we've got Hakeem Dawodu taking on Cub Swanson. Hakeem coming in the favorite at -220 with the comeback on old man Cub Swanson, +185. Fight ends inside the distance and acceptable, but nothing special, -145. Now, looking at some of the stats for these two guys, both are high volume strikers. Hakeem has never attempted a takedown. He will not grapple at all unless forced to, or at least so far in his career, that's been the case. Hakeem sporting a 65% takedown defense, and Hakeem coming in at 5.3 strikes per minute on average, slightly above Cub Swanson's 4.7 strikes per minute. And, Hakeem, heavy favorite here. He's going to be faster. He's going to be a lot younger. I just have concerns. It's almost like if I wish I knew Cub's game plan here, because I think he should come in with a grapple-heavy game plan. I think he could win this fight. I think he could win as an underdog. But if he wants to strike with Hakeem, I think he might just be a little bit late to the punch, so to speak. I just think Hakeem's going to have a little more of that speed. How do you see this one going down, Sniper?
Pretty much exactly like you said. I think Dawodu wins. It's a little late in Cub Swanson's career. Dawodu's a better striker. Cub never uses his wrestling in black belt, and he still gets subbed a lot for a guy who's a black belt. It's just Dawodu's a better striker, a little quicker at this point in his career. I think Dawodu wins comfortably. I think the line's about right. DraftKings, I have pretty big concerns about playing both sides because I don't think Cub wins, and even if he wins, is he going to break the slate? I don't think he grapples. Dawodu, same thing. He's up in that 9K range. I think there's better plays up there. So not a super interesting fight for me. I'm a little surprised how high the inside the distance prop is. To me, it smells like Dawodu decision, but maybe they're, Cub aging, slowing down, not as durable. All possible, but even a Dawodu finish, there's concerns for me about him making the optimal if it's a late finish. So Dawodu's the pick, not an interesting fight for me for DraftKings.
Monk, I don't think Dawodu has ever in his career produced a DraftKings score worthy of a 9K salary. That has not been something that he just does.
No, and in fact, the way I calculate my ceiling would back up that argument completely, where I have him at a 91.74, which is basically his highest score plus whatever his standard deviation is per win, and then we're still at barely 91. So you're absolutely right there. 75.76 per win. 9K is crazy. His average salary $8,100. $8,100. So we're way over that at 900 over, 17% average ownership. He's going to be higher than that this week in the 9K range. And this is where I agree with Sniper, and we are going to eat up some leverage, hopefully, by going way under, probably on this whole fight in general. I think he's absolutely right. Dawodu decision is obviously the most clear path to victory. Cub gets subbed. That's what he does. One of you guys mentioned Dawodu has no takedown. I think technically he has 2 takedowns, but none of them, 2 takedown attempts, none of them landed. So 0% there, no subs ever in his career. And he has 7 KO TKOs, but lately it's just been split decision after unanimous decision. We're not seeing that game from Hakeem Dawodu. He's not scoring. There's no volume. I'm not going to play him. When he does win, his average value isn't even 9K, and now he's 900 over his average. So I guess I'll take a little bit of Swanson just because he's so cheap, but the last thing I'll say is the only thing that worries me about this is when Dawodu loses 3 losses, he's giving up an average of 120 points And when Swanson loses, he's giving up an average of 102 over 9 losses. So triple digits, both sides. I just don't see how Dawodu pays off his salary, man.
I do know how he would do it. It would be a very early knockout on sort of a washed old guy.
Yeah.
But unless you get a
I'd be
washed,
surprised.
yeah, I mean, so it wouldn't blow my mind. But unless you get a washed old version of Cub Swanson, he's gonna last a few rounds. Dawodu is not a big hitter. The finishes are I don't you got a few and far between. Like if you look at his UFC fights, he hasn't even really sniffed a finish in the UFC. I guess yeah, he got a third rounder against Yoshinori Hori, effectively not a UFC fighter. So I don't like to count that one. But beyond that, he is not a finisher. So I think you're right, Sniper. I think this fight does go far. And if it doesn't, all right, you burn me. I need Cub to last into the second round. Dawodu will not score that very well, even with the second round finish. Okay. If it goes to the third, he doesn't cross 100. And of course, if it goes to decision, you're looking at about a 60 to 65, maybe 72 kind of that range decision win. It's not anything that we need a ton of for DraftKings. So I'm going to stay away from the favorite here. I do think Cub will use some grappling. I do think he'll get a couple takedowns. He knows how to do it. He can do it. And you know, if things are going bad, he's going to go to that. So I think you, Cub, you got to get a little bit of exposure to here. And it's dog or pass for me as a DK play on that one. All right, let's move on to fight number 3 on the card. We've got Khalil Rountree taking on Chris Daukaus. Chris Daukaus coming in at plus 135. Come back on Khalil minus 170 at the moment. So when you're making those numbers, the lines have moved a little bit, Sniper, since putting the screen together there. And as far as the inside the distance prop, the fight ends inside the distance prop is a spectacular. You must load up on this fight level minus 450. So that's the exciting part for me. We're at minus 450. Quick view of the stats for both of these guys. We already know what Khalil Rountree is. He don't want to grapple. He don't want to go for any of that. He's just a stand-up striker. And quite honestly, Chris Daukaus throughout his career so far is pretty much the same. Daukaus was fighting at heavyweight. He's moving down to light heavyweight. Is this at 185 or 205? This one's at 205. Was it?
205.
It's at 205. So he is moving down probably where he belongs at light heavyweight. How do you see this one going down? I mean, striking battle. Khalil's knocks people out. Chris Daukaus gets knocked out. I don't know, you know, other than Daukaus being a little higher volume, why I wouldn't just expect Khalil to come in here and smoke this guy.
Yeah, I'm all about Khalil here, and it's kind of you would think you'd pick the guy coming down from heavyweight, but typically Daukaus had a speed advantage at heavyweight. He's not going to have that here, and I don't even know if he has that big of a power advantage because Rountree hits like a fucking truck for 205. You don't know, Rountree obviously really good kicks. I think he's fought better technical strikers in like Modestus Bukauskas, who's more of a kickboxer than Daukaus is a pretty straight up boxer. And that's the other. So aside from, and you got a crazy amount of damage Daukaus has taken. Then just stylistically, it's boxer against kickboxer. I always like the kickboxer on those. Like everything just seems to line up, unless Rountree can't handle the power, which the heavyweight coming down, which I don't think is going to be the case. I'm about Rountree. It's going to take a little bit to get some leverage, but I'm kind of all about it here.
Some people would call Khalil Rountree an apple pie shitter. Oh, boys, an apple pie shitter. You're going to shit in your pie because we all expected him to knock out Marcin Prachniow in round 1 in that fight, and then he didn't do anything. Like he sometimes does not come to fight.
You never know who's going to show up. Like we had no idea about how good Thai boxing Khalil was before the Eric Anders fight, and he beat the shit out of his legs for 3 rounds. And like you don't know what Rountree is going to show up. That is the concern.
It's a concern. Monk, Rountree, KO or bust? I mean, how do you treat a guy like that from a numbers perspective?
That is a big concern, which Rountree is going to show up. You mentioned volume. In this case, in their careers, Daukaus' volume is far and above Khalil Rountree here. I keep wanting to call him Richard Rountree, and I know it just sounds better. You know what I mean? I'll remember it's Khalil here. But you're right. There should be no grappling at all.
You should know just one thing I want to add with the Daukaus stats, though. Daukaus' fights always ended early, so it's like those stats are a little tricky. I don't know if I fully buy them.
Yeah, but I mean, we have a 7-fight sample. Like, this isn't nothing. This is 7 UFC fights. You know what I mean? He's consistently like over 5 points a minute.
Yeah. He also hasn't gotten out of
the distance. It's 8. Yeah. It's 8. You know what I mean? So
he hasn't gotten out of the second round, though. Is what I'm saying.
No, exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, the reason I do want to target this whole fight as a whole, what both guys give up when they lose. Rountree, when he loses, 103 points is what his opponent scored. Daukaus 109 is what he's giving up. So these guys have high ceilings. Their opponents have incredibly high ceilings as well, and tons of round 1 finishes, both wins and losses. 3 of 4 wins for Daukaus, 2 of 3 losses for Daukaus, all in the first round. Rountree 43%, so 3 of his 7 wins and 3 of his 5 losses. All this in the first round. There is going to be no grappling. Someone's probably going to sleep. So I don't care what side you're on, honestly. But if you're a game theory person, you're going to have way more Daukaus at a much cheaper price than 8,900. That said, I like 8,900 better than the 9K spot, which we just talked about. So I'm not going to be fading Rountree by any means, but I will be playing a shitload of this fight.
Yeah, got to load up on both sides. When you look at the odds, plus 145 for a guy who's likely to finish if he wins, and is 7,200, I think, on DraftKings. Was it 7,200 at Daukaus? Yeah, 7,300 on DraftKings. That is just crazy good. Those are good line value numbers. And whereas the number for Rountree is like, oh, he's a minus 170 at that price, seems expensive. Doesn't matter because his win condition is a finish in the first or second round. And but I will caution this. If you went all in on either Rountree or Prachnio, in the Prachnio fight, when that one went to decision, you didn't win the tournament that week because that fight negated it. So I don't know, as much as it looks so juicy, there is at least some argument to, if this does go to like kind of a low scoring striking based decision, it will kill your lineups. So I would look at sort of the minus 450 and accept that as a real number. And then say there's probably a 20% chance, according to these odds, that this still does go to decision. So maybe don't have 100% exposure to this fight. If you're entering that awesome, don't forget to fill it, UFC Mega Mini Max 150 entry, $3 to enter. I love this they took it away for NASCAR this week because it didn't fill last week. Messed up. We got to keep filling this bad boy for MMA because DraftKings wants to yank it. They don't like it. It's too good. It's too good. Make sure you fill it. And also, while you're filling the Mega 150, make sure you like the channel. We're breaking down UFC. We got NFL content about to start, nonstop prize picks, everything going on the DF Army YouTube channel. So as the YouTube family here, make sure you like, subscribe. Sniper's got a prize picks video out already this week breaking down this card. So if you haven't seen that, check the channel as well. You'll see that prize picks breakdown for this UFC event. All right. Next up, Isamin Lucindo taking on Poliana Viana, with Yasmin coming in at Isamin? I don't know. Coming in at minus 195. The comeback on Viana is plus 160. This fight has, that goes to decision prop, minus 155 to go the distance. Now, Poliana Viana, submission or bust, and then she gets a knockout recently, and now I'm kind of like, I don't know who she is. I don't know who she is anymore. But Viana, it's interesting. Does not go for a lot of takedowns, but she is primarily a submission grappler. And her opponent, Lucindo, here is also a willing grappler. And this is the fight, Monk, that I was talking about before, that kind of feels like the Tucker Lopez fight, where I believe that Lucindo will willingly get into grappling exchanges with Viana. And the question is, can Viana do the Poliana Viana thing, which is lock up in armbar, or is Lucindo sort of the new school fighter that can stop a submission? So, Sniper, I'll start with you. Like, how do you see this fight going down? Do you see Lucindo going for the takedowns? Is Polyana going to sub from her back and pay off a minus? Well, wait, let's get the sub prop. Fight Polyana, Viana by submission. Where Viana wins by submission plus 260.
Yeah, she is sub or bust. I mean, I know she had a knockout last time against Jinyu Fry. I don't think it's going to happen here. It seemed like a really low probability outcome there. And he said it. I don't rely on submission or bust. I think Lucindo's got more volume. Will win every minute on the feet. She's more likely to end up on top. I have to pick Lucindo, and I'll mix in a little bit of Viana in case she gets a sub. It's really straightforward to me. I think Lucindo's better than Gavin Tucker, though, in that she's higher volume and is a lower weight class, less likely for some bigger strikes. And she's not as, I don't think she's going to be as reckless grappling. I actually think she's going to stand and just bomb away on Viana. And if I'm wrong, she still, as long as it doesn't get caught in a sub, is going to win. So more path to victory. I'll mix in a little bit of Viana just in case, but I have more interest in Lucindo.
Interesting. Monk, how do you see this one going down from a numbers perspective? Lucindo, 8,700, reasonable price. Viana, 7,500 on DraftKings. Okay. Don't take much to make value there.
Yeah, pretty reasonable, but the only number and I know Lucindo has an extremely small sample size of just 2 fights. They did both go to decision, I believe. She's barely over 2 points a minute, less than 2 points a minute at distance, but inside the distance is where she's been shining, 9 points per minute there. That's the only good number that I have here. Her strength of schedule in her last 5 is terrible, but so is Polyana Viana's. They're both pretty much equally as bad. Lucindo's average value in her win was not even 8x, 7.7, 73 points in that win. Polyana Viana has actually some fantastic numbers. I know she has 4 wins, all 4 in the first round. One of her losses is in the first round as well. Throws up a ton of submissions so far, 3 per takedown landed, almost a 14 average value. 3 of her wins over 100, 96 bonus points per win so far in the UFC. So, I mean, if we're playing, again, game theory, I'm going to want this fight and at least some Polyana Viana in my lineup just to wait, because if she wins, she's consistently paying off her salary, one of the best ceilings on the entire card. That said, in her losses, she's only giving up 81 points on average per loss. So I still do favor Lucindo probably, but I'm not going to get stuck, under rostering Polyana Viana if she is able to catch something on Lucindo submission wise. That's also 21 years old, Yasmin Lucindo, extremely young and unseasoned as far as the UFC goes. So we've seen old people make mistakes. We've definitely seen young people make mistakes, and maybe Viana can capitalize. So I'll be looking to go a little over the field on Viana and probably a little basically around the field on Lucindo.
Yeah, I was going to mention and took the fire away. She's only 21. A 21-year-old fighter improves every time you see them. You see visible improvement because they're so young. They're still learning a ton. So I was not super impressed.
You say she's 21. She's 14-5 as a professional.
I mean, this girl's fighting a lot.
She's fighting every other weekend when on her weekends off of work, or what? What's
in 2021?
That's ludicrous.
3 fights in 21, 2 in 22. There had to be a year she just.
These are really weird. She's in Brazilian really weird leagues where you're right. It's weekend fights. Victorious.
She started at age 16.
Action fight. Yeah,
that's illegal.
She had 4 fights in.
There's nothing illegal in Brazil. Everything is allowed.
I mean, she could have been 15. She's 23 now. She had a fight on the Brazilian regional scene, May 10th, 2017.
If you're ever in Brazil and you see 2 dudes on a moped just scooting up to you, just get your wallet out and hand it.
It's a smart thing.
The minute there's a second guy on the scooter, just hand him the wallet. You got me. Nice work. There's no law in Brazil. All right. Next up, Tufan Nchukwi taking on AJ Dobson. And again, here, Tafon, a slight favorite here at -145. AJ Dobson, the comeback at 7,800. Oh, what a stinker of a fight. This kind of seems like it will be. The fight goes to decision. Should crack this open. There's a million props for this, and I am having a hard time finding that one. Fight ends inside the distance. Here we go. -160 to end inside the distance. So, oh man, I don't know what to make of this fight, guys, because I think both of these guys are not that good. I don't know how else to put it. Neither one of these guys has really been very impressive. Nchukwi, slightly higher volume, averaging 6 strikes per minute, just over 6 strikes per minute throughout his UFC career. AJ Dobson averaging 4. Dobson feels like a bit of a gasser as well, does not seem to have 3 rounds of cardio in him. So, Sniper, little grappling potential here. I don't. What do you think of this one?
This whole fight's fucking weird. I don't think, like you said, I don't think either guy's good. I think Nchukwi is probably a little bit better, but it's not a big inside the distance prop, even though they're big guys. No one's high volume. They both kind of suck. I'm probably just going to take the underweight approach and pray. I mean, I don't have a strong enough take to go over on either one. It seems like it's a low inside the distance prop fight for me to make a strong stand. Betting wise, I don't have enough information or good information in my mind to make a reasonable bet, other than maybe probably dog or pass, or maybe probably take the over. I'm not even like, it's just weird data available for this fight. What I've seen is weird. I'm just gonna go under. Luckily, it's one of the worst inside the distance prop fights in the card for DraftKings, and just kind of roll with it. I've gone back and forth in fight. This fight is the one giving me fits all week because it's just there's nothing good available to break down. They're both ass. They're big.
Tafon has 2 wins in the UFC. They are against probably the worst 2 fighters in the UFC, Jamie Pickett and Mike Slow Rodriguez. And those guys are terrible, right? Tafon also has losses to mediocre talent like Carlos Ulberg. Kind of mediocre talent, in my opinion. And then Azamat Murzakanov, nothing special fighters. Actually, Ulberg, you're right, has been winning after that Kennedy loss. I'll give him a little credit. I'll give him a little credit. But Azamat, yeah. So what do you do with this? Basically, with Nchukwi, he's beaten the garbage that he's faced, and he's lost to like decent fighters. Then you go over to AJ Dobson, and he just, he lost his 2 fights. So he doesn't have a UFC win. He took the L to Malkoun, wrestling-based loss. That was a horror show if you were, playing that card and you didn't have any Malkoun in your lineup. And then, and a perfectly acceptable loss to a pretty good Armin Petrosyan. So again, I don't really know how to judge either guy because we haven't seen a win against even a mediocre level player. So how do you play this one out?
I think I don't know. Everyone is going to be fading this fight. Literally every person is going to be fading this fight, and for good reason. I can't argue with them. AJ Dobson has some of the worst numbers on there's not one stat on this whole sheet that is any good at all. He barely scores 2 points a minute. Controls 12% of the grappling time. His strength of schedule is better. Actually, it might be one of the worst, second worst overall over his last 5 to only Isaac Dulgarian so far. On this card. And Nchukwi, and say what you want about his opponents, he did what he is supposed to do against guys like that, scoring well over 100 points in those wins. And at 8,400 this week, if he does the same thing against a guy, slow Mike Rodriguez has UFC wins. Jamie Pickett has UFC wins. AJ Dobson does not have UFC wins yet in his career. I know it's a very young career, but if he doesn't get this one done, he might not have another chance. So Nchukwi has actually been scoring well, decent inside the distance points per minute at 6 points a minute, controls 62% of the grappling time, has a much, much better strength of schedule than AJ Dobson. So AJ's got a big hill to climb here. I still think he's overpriced at 78. Like I said, I mean, you could get weird and go over on him even at 20-25% because his average ownership is 26. It's going to be well below that, in my opinion, on this card. So Yeah, I like Nchukwi, who was also beating Mirzakhanov until he wasn't with that somewhat of a flying knee. And he scores decently when he wins. So why wouldn't he do this against a guy that has no UFC win? So give me Nchukwi. I want to be over on him, I think, and I'm probably going to be under on Dobson. He's going to have to show me first.
It's tough to be under on Dobson because he's cheap and he's fighting Nchukwi.
7,800
is not too bad. Yeah. Dobson, I will give him this as well. He does go for a takedown or two. He had 3 takedowns against Armin Petrosian, which is quite impressive. Armin gets taken down. That's the kind of fighter he is, but so does Nchukwi. So there could be a little bit of grappling upside here. I'm going to lean with you on Nchukwi in terms of who I'm going to lean. But I'll have both sides of this fight. I'm going to have some Dobson too, just for that. And it's not a fight I'm super excited about in general. Both these guys, it stinks of decision. So, and striking, low-scoring striking decision. But I will have some exposure to that fight. Coming up next, though, we have what I think is one of the very few lock button potential spots on this card. We'll see.
We got to talk here.
Yeah, you might have to talk me out of this one, but Josh Fremd minus 350 taking on Jamie Pickett plus 260. The inside the distance prop here is a solid minus 210, and let's just pull up a little bit of the stats from this one. But you've got Fremd here averaging 1.5 takedowns per 15. 75% takedown accuracy. So he's got that grappling going for him. Takedown defense of Pickett is a meager 66%. He should be able to be taken down. Pickett goes for some takedowns too, and Fremd has been taken down. He's only got a 31% takedown defense on his career. But I mean, I don't really see Pickett as a dangerous grappler. I haven't seen him use that in any fight that I've watched. And so I think it'll be Fremd as the more dangerous grab. I think Fremd will take him down and submit him in decent fashion. That's my expectation. Jamie Pickett, the aforementioned, as we talked about him, is one of the guys that Nchukwi has beaten. But I mean, he's just not very good. And he's got a loss to Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. It's not. It doesn't get lower than that. That's the worst loss that you can have in the UFC. So, Sniper, I don't know what to tell you here, but why do you disagree that Fremd is not the man?
I just worry about his salary and scoring. I'm not as convinced that Josh Fremd is some killer who's going to run through him and sub him. Look, Jamie Pickett, yes, he's not good. He's lost his UFC losses. Honestly, the most concerning one to me is I mean there's a lot.
Not Jordan Wright. That one didn't bother you.
It is
Tululan,
exactly. The issue with the Jordan Wright fight is Jordan Wright got him in that first minute, and that's what Jordan Wright fights are. They're wild early, and Jordan Wright, I know we like to trash on him. He's really good for the first 2.5 minutes. He's a dangerous, explosive striker, and Pickett isn't that good, so we got caught early. That's why I think it looks worse than it is. I'm really worried Fremd is going to coast here because he can coast because he's better. Pickett is bigger physically, I believe. He's going, I think he's probably the better athlete, whereas Fremd is just a better mixed martial artist. And I'm just worried that at this price, you need Fremd to run through him. And there's, again, we haven't got to we got Rountree. I'm higher on Rountree than Fremd. It's part of it. There's other guys in this range I'm just a little higher than. And just everyone's hopping off Pickett, and I'm not picking him by any means. I'm going to probably be underweight to him too. Like I don't think he's good. My concern is Fremd coast. It just is. I mean, just to back up what you said, Pickett, he lost twice on the Contender Series before he got into the UFC. He lost to Punahele Soriano. He lost to Charles Bird. He finally gets in the UFC with a win over Jahanovan Patti. Yeah, and then he loses to Nchukwi and Wright. His UFC wins are to Loriana Staropoli, who I think is in a different weight class now. I don't think he's still fighting at this weight class. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% on that.
He might not still be. And Joseph Holmes never got a win in the UFC.
That's my concern. Yes, Fremd wins. I think Pickett's the better athlete. I'm worried Fremd could coast. I mean, and if Fremd is going to, so when I do the VIP shows on Friday, probably my personal weakness is projecting ownership. Just it's not what my strength is. So I'm glad the FS Army we have the projection, the ownership projections, and if I see something crazy on Josh Fremd, I'm going to be licking my lips to go under. Like I'm really going to be basing how I play this on that number. So Fremd is the pick. Just oh god, I think I talked about that fight way longer than it deserved.
Yeah, I mean, Fremd should win this fight, and so this next fight will get, and I'm picking Fremd. I mean, come on. So, but this next fight is another pay up option that might outscore him, and I think that's where if you need to make an argument against Fremd, it's going to be something right here, like for example, Marcus McGhee taking on JP Bays.
I was gonna let Monk give his thoughts on this fight though.
Oh, there we go. Actually, Monk, I totally forgot to get your thoughts on that.
It's all good. I don't have much to say. Yeah, I'm worried about Fremd. I'm worried about Fremd paying off that 9,400. But Pickett does give up, on average 111 points per win or loss. I know. 111. But Fremd gives up 105 when he loses, and he got his head. Was that the fight where he got his head almost completely ripped off? Gave Tresean Gore his first UFC win. Was it? I believe that was one of the ugliest. I mean, it was a good sub. The sub was not ugly. His reaction and his trying to get out of it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. He almost broke his own damn neck. That said, Pickett has no good offense. You should really not play him. I mean, we're well under the Lewis line of less than 2 points a minute everywhere. 66 points when he does win. I mean, nothing good at all to say about that. Yeah, give me Fremd, but I'm worried about him paying off his salary. We've only got one win, and it was against Cedric Dumas. He scored 109. I don't know what kind of stock to put into that. So beating Jamie Pickett's certainly not going to be another notch on his belt by any means. So 9,400 is a lot for Josh Fremd.
Yeah. Yeah, could be tricky. Speaking of paying up a lot for a guy, Marcus McGhee coming in at 9,600 on DraftKings, minus 365 odds, taking on JP Bays, who is sitting at plus 290, 6,600 on DraftKings here. And the inside the distance prop is, let's see here. Whoa. Too many. Here we go. Minus 400 to end inside the distance. It is a monster inside the distance number. And it makes sense because JP Bays has basically been knocked out or knocked down every fight in the UFC. He's lost all of his UFC fights outside of the Contender Series. Even when he isn't getting knocked out, he is getting knocked down in these fights. So it's not a good scene at all for JP Bays. I don't know how he's still in the UFC between you guys. I don't understand why he's still fighting in the UFC. Sniper. Why? How is this guy still? Why did they?
You're going to the wrong person. You're going to the wrong person for this.
You're a Bays guy, so explain this to me. Apparently, Sniper says you're the Bays. What?
Shot. I'm on JP Bays this week. I'm picking him straight.
He's on JP Bays.
I'm a Roman Delete guy. I'm not a JP Bays guy.
No, stop it. So I mean, why is this guy in the UFC? Why is JP Bays excited about JP Bays? What are you, crazy?
JP Bays is 0-3 in the UFC. You put those same three guys in front of Marcus McGhee, he's 0-3 too. Not a doubt in my mind. Cody Durden beats Marcus McGhee. Montel Jackson beats Marcus McGhee. Bruno Silva beats Marcus McGhee.
That's fair.
Like JP Bays got higher level competition because he was a high level prospect. His first.
He also lost to Joby Sanchez back in 2017.
Right on the contender. That was on the Contender Series in 2017 when we thought Joby Sanchez was a good prospect, and then he got. Once you lose to Mrs. De La Rosa, I have problems there. But anyway, or Mr. De La Rosa. Look,
well, I stick with it. Mrs. De La Rosa.
This fight though, this is my problem. I think the line is too wide. Marcus McGhee made his UFC debut on short notice and beat Journey Newsom. That's not that great of a win. Like Journey Newsom is not a good win. You talk about strength of schedule. Like the only legitimate guy to me on Marcus McGhee's resume is Rafael do Nascimento. And he lost to him in the first round. He was submitted by him. Otherwise, he's in, he's got LFA fights, but 8-7 competition, 6-4, like rough stuff. Not good guys. Marcus McGhee hits big, and that is the worry against JP Bays. It's what's interesting is I can take this in reverse. You have it with an underdog, though. I honestly think JP Bays is going to win the minutes of this fight until he gets hurt, if he gets hurt. I think he's the better fighter. I think he's the better grappler. I think he's faster. I think he's the better technician. The issue is the bomb that McGhee has. That is the concern. If McGhee flatlines him, I'll take him on the chin, and it's not going to surprise me. I'm not going to let Marcus McGhee. I'll be underweight to McGhee probably, but I'm not going to be like, if he's going to be 45% owned, just call it, I'll be at like 30. Like I'm not getting ridiculous. I'm going to fade him. I just think people are overvaluing McGhee on a 1 win against Journey Newsom. They're undervaluing Bays based on 0-3 quality competition losses and a shaky chin. And the shaky chin is the part I really can't dispute. I'm just saying that this number at this price tag, give me JP Bays. Let's ride with the big upset.
I like the balls of the call right there. Monk, what do you say?
I love it. I think this is another Josh Fremd situation. 9,600 is a crazy price for a guy that has one fucking UFC win against a guy that's not good in Journey Newsom at all.
He could get a 60-second bonus.
He could also get a 60-second bonus because JP Bays, say what you want about him, 3 losses, giving up an average of 125 points per loss. Clearly the biggest number on the card. There is one good number here, though, for JP Bays, if you're a numbers guy like me, and that is 4 submissions thrown up per takedown landed. I know that's only 1, so he's thrown up 4. I'm just saying the guy is actively looking to finish the fight. What more could you ask for from not only a DraftKings play, but a supremely low salaried and low owned DraftKings underdog in JP Bays against a guy with 1 fight? I say what you want about the guy. It would be great to see Bays. I mean, could you imagine the high he's going to be on if he gets this UFC win? I'm rooting for a moment like that for anybody in their life. So I will be rooting for Bays. I did pick McGhee in his last one. He was good to me against Newsom, but still, I don't put much stock in that win. And this line is crazy. So I think Sniper said it perfectly. I'll go a little bit under on McGhee in the 30% range, but Bays, I mean, how much are you going to have to play to be 10% over? You play 20% of Bays, you're going to be way over the fucking field, way over. So easy to find leverage here. And it should, McGhee could still get that first minute knockout.
Last week I went back and back tested, and speaking of Bays and that price point, I went back and back tested, and if you like, for me, if I would have increased my exposure to Ludovic Klein just a little bit, I think I had 10%, and if I go to 20%, boom, there it is. Second nuts anyway. And the first nuts, You actually needed Woodson to hit that first nut, but I actually had to get about 30% Woodson to get there as well.
Natural salary coming through again.
Yeah. It was that
Woodson. That was weird. That Woodson thing was.
He outscored Tatiana. So you never know. You just never know on that $9,600 level. So I think you do have to be aware that 9,600 effectively McGhee will need to get about a 110. Here's the way I see it. Can Bays take him down? Can he? McGhee, not much of a grappler. We haven't seen him on his back. Don't know.
I have to shout out the prize picks video I just did, because I actually picked McGhee less than 115 on the fantasy score, and I did wasn't just my Bays pick there. It's that to do that and to pay off his salary on DraftKings, as I bring it up, he probably needs a round 1 finish, right? McGhee to win in round 1 is plus 150. That's not great numbers. That's no great shakes for 9,600.
In round 2, by the time it hits round 2, he will not get there.
Right.
No. Unless he stops.
Why would you choose to go to the ground with Bays? Yeah, Bays hasn't shown a ton, but he has the ability.
The problem is Bays keeps getting knocked down and popping up.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is he when he loses fights, he gets knocked down 3 or 4 times.
That scores massive. I think that's a scary choice for your prize pick spot.
Also, it should. Oh no, that was just 2 times. Bays did fight at bantamweight against Jackson, but he's fought at flyweight twice. This is only his 2nd bantamweight fight.
Yeah,
and Marcus McGhee looks huge at bantamweight.
It's true.
Knockdowns are definitely in play here. And speaking of a fight that should end early, one way or the other, Terrence McKinney taking on Mike Breeden. McKinney minus 280, Breeden plus 220 on the comeback. Now, this fight should end well early, minus 600 to end inside the distance. And you want to talk about, again, we talk about a 9,600, a 9,400 fight, and they could finish. This one is minus 600 at 9,200 at the top end to end inside the distance. It's a must-own fight, I think, one side or the other. McKinney is one round or bust. Like the way that this man folds after round one is epic. And how it's as
fair, he got fucked his last fight. He did get fucked his last fight.
What is your excuse for that?
A fence grab in the...
I mean, it's not nothing. He probably would have lost anyway because that's his deal. But that position, that fence grab, like, oh, I think Geek's so mad he turned his video.
Yeah, as soon as it went to the second round, it was.
I mean,
I remember texting my buddy going, "How bad is he gonna lose this round?"
But don't text. He looked okay. That fence grab solidified position, and that was the end of it.
If it's going to, don't text your friend, text your bookie.
Yeah.
if it's round two, you're in Texas, so you know. Why
do I feel like
we don't do that here?
BetOnline.ag.
I want to go bet McKinney wins in round two right now, just because of the way we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's the number on this? Is it four digits?
Might be. I gotta look.
You can get a big number on Breeden in round two if you want that. You're probably looking at plus 600.
Well, that's dumb. That's how he wins this fight.
Yeah, and they're going to pay you for that. So that's where you want to take your shots. But hang on, Breeden to win in round two, not McKinney. Breeden wins in round two. That's plus 1,200.
Oh
that
my God.
is the risk you want to be taking.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Kevin, you were wrong. He didn't win in round two. It's a plus 1,200.
I like that number, to be honest.
McKinney wins in round two and get plus 700.
That's not bad either.
Wild.
There you go. But McKinney in round one, it's still minus numbers. That's the problem. McKinney in round one, let's see. McKinney wins
minus 150.
Yeah, it's still minus.
And he's plus 7 in the second.
Yes, this is just so we're not just saying this. This is the odds makers are like, no. This guy cannot fight past the round, and he's got a long history of this happening. So Breeden, is he very good? I don't know. You know, he lost to Natan Levy, right? Okay.
Yep.
He lost to Alex Hernandez. All right. You know, it's like both of those guys are pretty good. I think both of those guys would beat Terrence McKinney more often than not. So McKinney's going to win this fight if he can finish it in the first round. And if it goes further, this Breeden character who doesn't have anything in his history to show that he's good at MMA at all. By the way, so here's another thing. Just important to note. You'll be on this, Monk, but he doesn't have wins against a notable opponent. Nothing. He did not even win a contender series fight to get into the UFC. He was just a last-minute replacement for an Alexander Hernandez fight. Breeden is only in the UFC as like a thank you for stepping up. He does not have a signature win or a win against anybody with a name that you would recognize.
Yeah, they're trying to terminate that contract on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, let's give Terrence McKinney a win. He's a funner fighter. At least when he fights, the crowd goes wild, and he has a chance of winning. I don't know. Sniper, what do you say? I mean, is it a load up on McKinney spot and then hedge with Breeden and YOLO 100% exposure? Can you YOLO 100% on this? I say yes.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't hate it. I'll probably be a little. I probably don't. It's not my style, but I can't even say you can't do it. I'm all about McKinney. I think he wins here. He's a short notice replacement. Breeden gets a much tougher opponent. I still think McKinney's good. He can hit hard. He's willing to throw. He can mix in the grappling. He'll struggle against anybody who's probably anywhere near the top 15 in the division or even sniffing that. And I don't think Breeden's that. So I think he runs through Breeden. And that's where I'm at.
Monk, did you just level up your camera? Like, what the hell just happened?
No, it's the same camera. I didn't switch it. So I have a loose cord, a loose something. I don't know. I got to get a new one.
Better. So give me the numbers on this, but I'm sure it's like, yeah, McKinney fights score really well.
Yeah, basically, McKinney fights score really well. 110 points per win is what he's scoring. All 3 wins, first round finishes, and he has been finished once in his 3 losses. So if you're counting, that's 4 of 6 fights first round finishes. Right what we would expect for McKinney. Breeden, meanwhile, let's see, 2.76 takedowns per 15 minutes. Really what you would want to see. Scores very well per minute. I mean, 4 points inside the distance, 4.5 points a minute. However, he's getting outscored everywhere, which is what we want to see for draft. We want to see fights like this where one guy is going to score a ton of points, and the other guy gives up a ton of points, which is what Breeden does. 114 on average per loss. So yeah, I like this fight a lot for DraftKings. I'm with Sniper. I don't really like to go 100%. But I mean, I might get to 85 to 90. I might be pretty damn close to that for sure. The other thing I'll say is Breeden on average, only 12% ownership. So if you think he survives round 1 and beats McKinney, because like we said, if McKinney gets out of the first round, he's likely not going to win. So if you think Breeden can survive, you're going to get huge leverage here by playing, 20-25% of Breeden. So, and that way you still get to 70-75% of your Terrence McKinney if you're on him that big. So I think just play this fight, and the winner should be close to an optimal for sure.
I just went to check to see if the DFS Army ownership projections are out yet, and they usually come out on Fridays, and we are recording this on Thursday night, and they are not out yet. So I really kind of wish they were, because a lot of these fights, I'd be looking like, how much leverage can I get?
I mean, there's 3 people more expensive than McKinney, maybe 3. So he's still going to be the highest. I bet you he'll be the highest owned fighter.
He should be, but he'll probably be 60%. He won't be 50% owned.
You don't think so? He might be like 50, in between 50, 55.
I'm going to say,
Breeden, if that's the case, this fight as a whole is going to go like 65, 70% because nobody's going to be on Breeden.
That's what I'm saying. I think you'll see McKinney at about 45% owned. And at that price, maybe 40 to 45. But that would be my estimate now.
God, that's so low.
I know. And you're going to see Breeden more in the 15% range. 12 to 15%. So that's my guess. Could be different. Again, sign up at DFS Army. Check out the ownership projections on Friday. And by the way, on that note, we have the NFL preseason promotion going right now. If you are not signed up at DFS Army as a VIP or any of the packages, but especially the VIP, which is the all-inclusive, we're doing a 25% off promotion right now for the preseason. And we never do 25% off. So it's going to knock 25% off that cost. Also NFL only, or even the MMA only sub. I think MMA is normally $25 a month to get all of our tools, be in the Discord, all that stuff. They're taking 25% off. That's like free. Basically, it's free. It's free. And the 25% off, it's code NFL 2023. So it's the preseason code NFL 2023. It gets 25% off all of our packages, and it locks in that price. So on the monthly recurring, it's not like the next month it jumps back to the regular. You are now locked in at 25% off. So you want to get signed up now. You'll get our ownership projections when they come out tomorrow. The player project, all the Domination Station Optimizer for MMA. Be in the chat with Sniper and Monk and myself and Vince and the whole crew. And of course, all the other DFS sports that we absolutely smash on a week-to-week basis. I don't even get into it. So NFL 2023 for anybody who's not signed up at DFS Army if you want to. All right, next up, we've got Francis Marshall taking on Isaac Dulgarian. This is an exciting fight. Francis Marshall minus 170 currently with a comeback on Dulgarian at plus 145. When we take a look at the sports books here for the inside the distance numbers, I don't know that this one's going to explode off the page here. This one's a less exciting minus 190, but still good minus 190 to end inside the distance. I can't wait, Monk, to hear about your strength of schedule discussion with these two guys. But really, from my read of this fight, I really like what I've seen out of Dulgarian. Like, visually, he looks great. He's finished every fight in the first round. He has done everything that has ever been asked of him. The only problem is we haven't really seen him fight anybody with any sort of cachet. The flip side with Francis He, he has a win in the UFC. He's got a loss in the UFC. Looks okay. Nothing crazy good. Nothing crazy bad. Looks fine. So, I mean, Sniper, I'll start with you here. You've got effectively what looks like an interesting prospect that's been crushing cans against also a prospect in Francis Marshall, who at least has some UFC fights and a UFC win under his belt.
Look, to me, this is a load-up spot, but it's load-up on both sides. I think they are – Francis Marshall had a lot of hype, lost to William Gomez last time out, split decision. I think they're trying to get him a bit of hype back. So this is great matchmaking for the UFC business-wise, because either your hype train comes back in Francis Marshall, or you create a new one in Isaac Dulgarian, because Isaac Dulgarian, not only has he not seen round 2 of a fight, he's never seen minute 3, ever. Like, what the fuck is going to happen when we get out of the first round? So it's either Marshall's going to wrestle fuck him and put up a big score, or Dulgarian's going to flatline him and put up a big score. Play both sides. I don't care either way. Don't play it in cash. Too volatile. Straight up pick. I'll go with the guy with some UFC experience in the wrestling, but if he dies at 60 seconds, I'm going to be probably over on both sides. So pick is Marshall, but more so, yeah, I'm going to, you know what, those of you who watch all the way through, you should subscribe to the channel. Make sure you watch the prize pick videos. This is my second prize picks play in that video. Under 11 minutes. Sure.
You went for under 11.
11 minutes.
Yes, please. Because what I will say is weird.
Doesn't start
Ruiz
round
has
3.
it priced under 2.5 at -160. I think there's value there. The guy who's not seen, my point in the video was like -160. That's a big number. You're really only losing on prize picks if it finishes between round 2 and 3. If you think that's a possibility, it's weird. If it gets out of round 1, all right, I probably lost the -1. Those minute and a half's not going to matter. It's a -160 play.
No, you can get all the way to round 3. So you have all of the first 2 rounds to.
I don't think that happens. I think if the fight's going to start round 3, I'm probably toast anyway. I think the -160 is already lost because it's the Dulgarian. It just either way. I think this fight finishes.
I love that play. By the way, I'm on board with you because Dulgarian finishing fights in 30 seconds all throughout his career means he might not even have a gas tank for that second round. Yeah. This could be a monster score. Monk, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking this is a shit show, and you gotta play shit shows. This is crazy. The last 5 strength of schedule for both these guys is god awful, like some of the worst I've ever seen, and they're both equally terrible. I mean, one guy's nicknamed himself Fire Marshall. The other guy's nicknamed himself, after a Tech 9 song, basically. That 5 fights in the professionally. Anything could happen in this fight, man. Absolutely anything. So. Yeah, give me a lot of both sides. These 2 salaries are great salaries for like a high volatility fight. 7,700 is a great underdog salary. 8,500 is definitely not too expensive to get into because 11 minutes. That's freaking laughable. What is Isaac Dulgarian gonna look like in the 3rd round? I couldn't even imagine. So yeah, I'm on both sides. Probably have a little more Dulgarian, but it might actually be pretty even because on one side Dulgarian's cheaper, but Marshall has 2 UFC fights worth of experience, almost 22 minutes in the UFC cage. So I think that evens out. I'm fine with even exposure, but just get these guys in your lineups. I'd be pretty surprised if this goes to decision.
Important to note that Marshall 6 takedowns in his UFC Contender Series fight versus Connor Matthews. Get a takedown against Marcelo Rojo and a couple takedowns in his fight against William Gomez as well, which probably could have gone either way. So Francis Marshall, an aggressive grappler, he will be doing things that score well as long as he's conscious in this fight. So yeah, this is a 100%er. Is it 100%er? Is it all in? Can we have 2?
Yeah,
if we have 2 all-ins on a card?
Because the main event is in this range, and a couple other things. It's a probably 70 to 80%er.
You could, if you give me the 3 fight, the main event, the McKinney fight, and this one as 3 all-in fights, it makes it not that difficult to make the rest of your lineup. You just cycle through, especially with the optimizer. You could cycle through these 3 fights, different combinations, and then the rest.
It's funny. I've been doing 150, a quick run, but I've also been doing on the VIP article where I just take my top 6 ranked fights and maybe like a Tatiana Suarez I threw in and just run all the combinations I can at like a certain salary over and it's like I'm only getting like 25 lineups, and I'll just run those in and be done. I think I have small. I think I'm down slightly. I haven't banked anything, but I've won 2 weeks of the 3, and once I lost my ass because there was a fight I missed out on. But it's an interesting kind of GPP method I'm kind of tinkering with. Just a quick way to, instead of picking fighters, pick fights. What are the 6 best high-scoring fights on the side of the card? Give me all those fighters. Give me a certain salary min and run.
I think you could pull the same approach, but then tack on adding in some of the other fights, but you don't need that much of it because you're, 10% for the sixth guy who's in the nuts, and you only went 10%. That's enough to find it if you're that heavy on the other spot. It's fun if you, again, for DFS Army subs who are actually subscribed to the site. Using the back test tool, you could test a lot of the stuff, and you start to get a feel for the math and how the numbers work. Like I start to see, if I have an 80, a 60, a 40, and then 3, and then 7 or 8 fighters in the 20% range, it will find its way to that nuts lineup more often than not. So you want to start to get used to that. The one thing with MMA that changes a lot is how many fights are on the card, and it does need to adjust the more fights or less fights are on the card. So there's a lot of stuff like that go on, that it really, having the repetition of attacking and especially back testing these type of slates over and over again really does help with getting a feel for how you want to run the opti for these types of cards, especially when you have some all-in fights on there. The more all-in fights, the better for me. All right, next up we've got Martin Buday, the favorite at -205, taking on Josh Parisian, +175. Buday is 8,800 on DraftKings. Parisian is 7,400. Buday, a bit of a heavyweight decision machine throughout his career. This fight is 50-50 to end / inside the distance / go the distance. So it is pick'em, which is rare for a heavyweight fight, but understandable when you're talking about a Buday fight. And Buday weirdly has been winning in the UFC, which is, that in itself is crazy, but he's been doing it against the worst of the worst by decision. So with that being said, Parisian sniper fits in the worst of the worst category. Does Buday win another decision here? A low scoring decision?
Yeah, I actually like this fight more than I don't think it's a low-scoring decision because I think Josh Parisian sucks ass.
Correct.
I think he's real bad, and I think he'll force some volume out of Buday. 8,800. I get a heavyweight who I think is much better than his opponent. Who's not going to be heavily owned. It gets me more interested probably than most people. I mean, he's at 5.2 significant strikes a minute. Like I know he didn't score great against Bresky in terms of volume, but
he needs to finish. If you're just going to throw strikes, you need to finish the fight.
Right.
100 strikes landed sounds great, but that doesn't put up that big of a. It's only 40 points plus the 30. It only gets you 70. 100 strikes landed is a huge number.
He's 4-0 in the UFC against a guy who lost a decision to Jamal Pogues, and lost it and got knocked out by Dontel Mays. So I'm going to go ahead and take some shots on Buday and just be over the field because I think Parisian sucks. And that's really the only justification I need to get 25% Buday in my mind. I'll probably be like 5-10% Parisian just because it's heavyweight and, I can't cross everybody out. But, yeah, I like Buday a bunch.
Monk?
Yeah, RAP to Josh Parisian. Not only did he lose that fight to Dontel Mays, he got humped to death.
That was the
fight.
That was the hump fight where
that was the hump
that was the
fight.
famous hump fight.
Yeah, so we have the ghost of Josh Parisian here. I don't think he's going to do much at all. The only good stat that I like is that he allows 104 points per loss over his 3 UFC losses. Other than that, I really don't think he's going to win. Martin Buday, yeah, I think it's probably Buday decision. I don't think he gets this done in the first round, and therefore I don't think he scores very well at all. And he's way expensive this week at $8,800. So if you like one of these sides, it's going to be very easy to go over the field. So there is that. That is the one benefit to this fight as a whole. But yeah, this is basically a pass basically a pass. I don't see how Parisian's going to beat Buday. Sniper said it best. This dude got humped to death by Don'Tale Mays, and he lost to Jamal Pogue's 3-round decision. So, I mean, yeah, give me Martin Buday. There's no reason that he, even a 3rd-round finish would not score very well. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to get to him this week.
I see Buday winning as well. And, everything, I just chime in, everything you guys said. Like, he needs to win in the first or second round to have any sort of shot to pay off. That is not what's expected to happen. I'm not going to full fade Buday, but I'll be in that 15%. Just, Mara, I was just telling you my math. I usually get my high owns and then pretty much every other turd in that 15 to 20% range. Let it do its thing. He'll be that guy that I'll put just enough of him in there that I'll give myself a shot if he happens to get that fast finish to accidentally have him mixed in with the other right mix of those all-in fights that we talked about. Because again, these are math equations, right? When you have 3 all-in fights, it's 50-50, 50-50, 50-50, assuming you took the same amount of every fighter. And so it's, 0.5 and 0.5. It's like you've got the odds of the correct combo of those 3, and then whoever else you have in your lineup. So I can't even do the math, but it's like 1 in 100 or something. We'll have, I don't know. I can't do the math in my head right now.
Here,
but
let me save you. Ready?
There we go. Let's move on. Jacqueline Amorim taking on Montserrat Ruiz. Amorim minus 245, Montserrat plus 210. This is a really interesting fight because, Montserrat's a wrestler. Yes, she does head and arm throws, but, she is a tough Mexican. I like her. Looking for the inside the distance prop here. Fight ends inside the distance. Minus 190. Very solid number. So, Sniper. Montserrat, she came through for us as an under. I like fighters that come through as an underdog.
Yeah, this is there's a few of these last fights here where I don't think we should get too bogged down in the technical analysis, because this is the end of a fight night card. What's going to open and it's not good fighters. It's hard to handicap. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying it's more important, at least in terms of DraftKings plays. Just kind of analyze the situation. It's 2 bad fighters. I got one price at 7,100. 9,100, she's still viable because this is a high variance fight. And Ruiz, by the way, is Conejo, which is her nickname. That's what she's listed on DraftKings. So if you're confused, but I put Ruiz because that's where she's listed everywhere else. Tapology, fight, it's
on DraftKings they have her name. Yeah, they have her name as Conejo,
and that's her nickname. It's Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. Look, I think she's who I'm leaning here. She's got the grappling. It's a low-level shit fight. I don't think either one is very good. So it's the typical dog or pass and get me some exposure that way. I need to see more from both of them before I get, some better analysis. And I watched, I think, 2 fights from each. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, usually I go a little bit deeper, and I was like, I can't this week. And that's kind of where I'm leaving my analysis of just how I'm approaching it. There's only so much time. And give me Montserrat for the reasons you mentioned, and I kind of highlighted a little bit. Grappling, low-level fight, dog or pass, get me some exposure, and just kind of move on. I will say, don't lose Amorim, because at minus 190 and some low ownership, I have interest there as well.
That's where I wanted to just go, because then you said dog or pass. I like Montserrat. I like a girl who goes for takedowns, Monk. I love a girl who goes for takedowns. But Amorim's wins have come by submission more often than not. She could easily get that head and arm pop on the top quickly, bloop, little arm bar, little something, little submission from top position. She could, bloop, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, did she just win in 60 seconds? Oh no.
Yeah, at 7,100. Yeah, for sure.
No, it's the 9,100. The 70. Montserrat, I don't see her winning like that. She wins by decision. It's Amorim that finishes the fight.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She I don't know if her ownership's gonna be that low. She came in at 9K against Sam Hughes, and she was 29% owned in that fight. She was supposed to sub Sam Hughes. Everybody was telling me, she's gonna sub her. She had her in several, shout out Diego Lopez. She had her in several Diego Lopez type situations, like when he fought Movsar Evloev, tons of submissions thrown up. So, I mean, yeah, she's probably going to win by sub here at 9,100. Ruiz is one of the smallest fighters overall in the entire UFC. They might not know her last name, so I don't know if they know her height, but she is listed at 5 foot. The last thing I'll say about this, Ruiz scored 103 points in her win and gave up 128 when she lost. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this one. I'm going to play the ownership game. I'd like to be over on both sides of this, to be completely honest, and I think it will be a rather low-owned fight, especially on the Ruiz side. I don't know. We'll see if the hype's dead or not against Amorim after losing to Hughes. But, yeah, almost 30% owned for a UFC debutante at 9K. Seems kind of crazy, but that's where we were at last time.
I think Sam Hughes was falsely branded like that she sucks, where I don't think Sam Hughes completely I think Sam Hughes is not very athletic, but she's tough, and she's experienced, and she's resilient. So Sam Hughes is better than she's given credit for. I'll give that. So people saw a hyped prospect who had submitted everybody that she'd fought, and it's Sam Hughes, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll load up on that. She'll probably get a submission. I don't see any change here. Like, she could definitely win by submission fast. Do not fade either side of this fight. And again, with Montserrat, if she's in there standing and not submitting, she is going for takedowns. That is all she does. I love it. I love the grappling. I love the wrestling she brings. I like both sides of this one as well, Monk. I'm going to pick Amorim to win by submission. That's my official pick, but I love both sides of this fight, and I think we can get over the field on both sides. And it's not an all-in like some of these other ones, but it's not that far off from. That's a fight you want to have a lot of exposure to, I think. I don't think I'm going to go all in, but I do want a lot of exposure. All right. Damon Blackshear taking on Jose Johnson. Damon minus 220. Actually, that number has continued to move, and he is currently minus 270 with the comeback on Jose Johnson, now at plus 230. That's right, Sniper. Lots of line movement since this one came out.
I did these graphics at like 4 Eastern time. It's 9 o'clock now.
There was a steam that happened on that fight, and it was just steamed. So these guys are now minus 270 and plus. So the lines are moving towards Damon. I don't even know. Are the salaries out for these guys?
Yeah, 86 and 76.
Damon yeah. So now Damon is now the odds on line value spot.
He's cash game lock. The quick break. He's cash game lock. He's better everywhere. Mix him in, wherever you can. I'll be under on Jose Johnson. Blackshear's better. It's got potential for a big score, medium salary, odds value. I don't see a reason not to play him. Other than a lot of people are going to play him in GPP. So that's all the analysis you need. I think he's better striker, better I just think he's better, period. Which is why the line has been steamed.
Jose Johnson, not a bad fighter.
He's not, but everything he does okay. Like it's one of those. Blackshear has advantages everywhere.
He missed weight by like 45 pounds last time. Pretty sure. So
was that Damon or Jose?
No, Jose. He was supposed to have his UFC debut against I don't even know who, but the fight got canceled because he missed by so much. Wasn't that fight? Or did the fight go on and he just missed by a ton? I don't remember. Either way, he completely blew the weigh-in my recollection. Yeah, I think Sniper's right. I love Blackshear. Love his UFC experience here. When he did get that win, 15x is what he scored over his average salary. Average ownership's only 14%. You got to throw all that out the window. You guys are exactly right. All the DraftKings value compared to the odds value is on Damon Blackshear, and you can't trust probably Jose Johnson. Opponents scored very well against him overall and inside the distance. So, and that's where Blackshear does most of his work. So I like Blackshear.
I'm about it as well. Give me a minus 270 fighter for 8,600 all day. That is the kind of bargain that you get when you're going to the shop during the can bash.
Isn't that King Kong the can?
I know all those things.
You know about the can bash. You don't know about the can. Oh, you're not from here.
No.
It was King Cullen, wasn't it?
What's that?
I think it was the King Cullen supermarkets, the cans.
They have it. I don't know. I mean, they all have their own little can
That
sales.
is a New York or New England.
In New York, we have a lot of Italians, and you put the Tudoroso tomatoes on sale, and the 10-pack, and they're like, I buy like 40 of those 10-packs, giant cans of tomato sauce. All right, no one cares. All they want to know is the curtain jerker. Juliana Miller taking on Luana Santos. Luana is a -150 favorite in this one, with the comeback on Juliana Miller at +125. The fight ends inside the distance, +160. This one is one of the only fights. Is this the only fight on the card that is not lined to end inside the distance?
Yep. And to make things complicated for
Parisian,
GTP, it's also the fight with the most grappling. So figure that shit out.
Let's, really interesting, right? Let's take a look at the grappling numbers here. So I've got 2 takedowns per 15 for Juliana Miller. She has a loss to Veronica Hardy. That's a tough one to swallow, but whatever.
She looked that was her first fight back after that long layoff, and she looked like a way different fighter.
That's fair. Luana Santos. So, it's a close fight. I think people are down on Miller after the Hardy loss. Sniper, are they down properly, or are we holding it a little too much again? Is this an underdog that we need to get on?
It is. For me, it is. And I could be wrong. It's just one of those. I think everybody's off Miller, and I'm not quite there yet. And I think she's going to be under-owned with the line value at 7,900. I get it for cheaper. Like, I'm not off yet. And it's Luana Santos is a mid-card LFA fight. Like I say LFA, it's great, and it is, but she wasn't like main eventing or co-main event. She was a mid-card LFA fighter. This smells to me desperately like the UFC is trying to get Miller, who won tough, a win again. It's just what this feels like. And let's bring in, Santos, who's a decent grappler who we can bring in that fits Miller's strength. All right, Luana Santos. And us and the bettors and the odds makers are like, no, we don't believe in Miller at all. And her striking isn't good. But neither is Santos's. It's a grappler versus grappler matchup. I'll go with the one who has some UFC experience. I do think Hardy looked good last time out, but even without that, I'll go with the one who's cheaper, going to be less owned, got a little more has UFC experience. It's an odd kind of grappler, but it's going to be grapple heavy. I don't have to get a ton to be over the field. I want to be over the field in this fight, even though it's the lowest inside the distance prop. It's got the most grappling and the least ownership, and those things have to be weighed in. So I do like Juliana Miller. It's not like an all-in slam or a kill shot spot, but I'm not with the crowd jumping all the way off yet. Monk, I know you Santos. I will be off.
Off complete. Interesting. Monk, I know you love the 135-pound women.
125.
Oh, wait a minute.
Flyweights.
Oh, you love the you know something? These girls,
till they take off those extra 10 pounds, monkeying fucking around with them.
These girls haven't. I like the flyweights too. I like the I like the flyweight.
Hey, they're right up there in the optimal. That's why I like them. It's like 54%.
Right.
125
is Monk's optimal weight, ladies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, yeah. No, I think I'd have to lose a few before I can start putting that list together of my own.
So you're saying your Tinder profile doesn't lightweight or better?
No, I'm too big to discriminate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not huge, but I'm still over the point where I should be allowed to. You know what I mean? The worst. Nobody likes a fat guy that discriminates. That's just an oxymoron. Nobody likes that shit.
Can you at least discriminate on age? Like, can I be like,
yeah,
listen,
you got to just, but I'm 40 now. So also I'm getting to where I can't discriminate against fucking anybody. So
no, got to cut them off at about.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I said this in one of the shows I did earlier this week. A lot of people are fading women fights just because they're women fights. We're going to get a lot of leverage. The 3 women's fights we have, I really honestly like for DraftKings, and I'm going to be going over on the field consistently, I think, this week. So that's automatic leverage there. Sniper broke it down perfectly. When Juliana Miller did win against Brogan Walker, 115 points that week. Can you imagine? 14x almost. So yeah, Both these women have terrible strength of schedules. It's low level, high variance fight. I think the winner is probably going to be over what most people are projecting, and I can't wait to see the ownerships because I'm going to be over on both sides. But I agree with Sniper. Give me the one with more UFC experience and the one that put up 115 points inside the cage in Juliana Killer Miller.
Yeah, I mean, you convinced me just straight off by flyweight women, 52% optimal. No one's going to be on this fight. Every other fight on this card looks more interesting and sexier than every other card.
And we
every
get the
other
plus
fight.
money, like you said, the plus money inside the distance. Yep.
Everything's pointing towards fading this fight, but that is not how you win the tournament. You've got to have this fight when it goes down. A couple of weeks ago, we watched a card go down where if you didn't have all three of the women fights in your lineup, you didn't even sniff a chance at any sort of a win. And so I don't think that's going to be the case today. We have some fights that are definitely going to score well, but I think you're going to get these two ladies who are both relatively inexpensive in that 15% ownership category. That is very, very much something you want to be over, not under for. Listen, I don't have a preference. I quite honestly think that Juliana Miller is terrible. I didn't see anything, I don't see her being very good at all. I haven't seen Brogan Walker loses to everyone. Like, that win is not that impressive either. These are just like Ultimate fighters that all kind of suck. But Luana Santos, not much better. I just don't know which one's better here. They both seem pretty bad, and we'll find out which one is UFC level and which one probably isn't. But I'm down with Juliana Miller. I like the whole reasoning behind it. I like the cheaper one, and I like her even more if I knew she was going to be lower owned. So that ends the breakdown. We've got kill shots for you guys.
I mean, I'm done.
Underdogs that are going to help you win the tournament this week. Make sure you've hit that like button, subscribe, and I want you guys who are watching to tell us your kill shot. We will call you out next week on the show if you nailed it. We're going to be like, yo, that guy, Jimmy's got balls. He nailed the pick in the comments section.
Jimmy eats balls 42.
The random name that I picked. Everybody's got stupid names on YouTube, but put your favorite kill shot. Underdog winner that will win you the ticket. Could be Juliana Miller. Maybe I'm going to pick Juliana Miller. You don't know. The anticipation is building, right? But we're going to give you our kill shots, what we like. Sniper, I'll start with you.
Because mine's already done. I gave it out earlier. JP Bays.
Oh,
biggest underdog on the car. I think he steals one here. I got a couple other underdogs I like, but go big or go home, motherfucker.
When I sigh, that probably means Bays is going to do it. I will have JP Bays exposure. But you convinced me. I am now on board.
Don't give up Marcus McGhee because
no, I'm not getting up. But I wasn't going to use any JP Bays. But you convinced me.
Use a smidge.
Get a little bit. All right, Monk. Who you like?
My kill shot will need to summon all of the powers he has at his disposal to make it out of the first round, because that's where he's going to get his win. Mike fucking Breeden. Money Mike, baby.
There we go.
Watch several Friday After Next highlights today after seeing his nickname for the nickname show later. Money Mike Breeden. 7K. This is round one or bust for McKinney. So, yeah. I'm getting some exposure.
I don't love it personally, Monk, but I don't hate it as much as I was desperately trying to get you off of Tucker last week.
I know that was. I was like, no, I'm doing it.
I wish I was on the show. You would have gotten me off of a little Tucker too. A little bit less of that would have been nice.
I was like, high risk, high reward. Fuck it, and then he scores 6 points, gets out of there.
Nobody watched.
Oh my god!
I was pissed. Lopez only scored 90 because he didn't do anything. I had the quick sub. I was like 20% over the field on Lopez. I played him in cash, so I swept cash games.
But Lopez was in the nuts, so it didn't matter that he didn't propel your non-nuts lineup.
That was a low scoring.
He was in the nuts.
Yep.
So it didn't matter. My kill shot this week will win you the tournament if he wins this fight, and that's what's very important about a kill shot. And that's Isaac Dulgarian.
Yep.
My boy Isaac finishes people in the first round. We don't know if he's that good. Is he beating scrubs? I don't know. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't know, but I like the fire marshal as well. But give me Isaac Dulgarian, kill shot, win you the tournament this week if he wins his fight, because he's going to do it early. All right, that's going to do it for the Kill Shot UFC 78.
Vegas
UFC
78.
Vegas 78.
78. RDA versus Luque. Good luck this weekend. Don't forget to fill up that DraftKings Mega Mini Max. Make sure those are filled because, like I said, they pulled it. There was like no spots left in the NASCAR one last week. They're like, nope, left a couple spots over. We pulled it. Don't let DraftKings do it to us. We got to fill that thing. Keep it going. It's an awesome contest. It's the best contest that DraftKings offers for these. There are qualifiers this week. We get into the next MMA championships. I still haven't won my tickets yet. I got to busy myself with that now. It's like one more thing to do. I got to take out the trash. I got to get my ticket. It's just on the list of my to-do list. I want to cross it off. So I can get my ticket this weekend. I think I'm going to go for it. Get that ticket. So good luck with that. Good stuff, Sniper. We will see you guys. Cheat sheets are live on the DFS Army website for anybody who is signed up as VIP. The cheat sheets are coming out. Projections, ownerships, everything on Friday. So another big week of MMA action. I'm excited. Good luck this weekend, everybody. We will see you guys next time.